Hi, all. Can you guys hear me? I feel so weird because literally, it looks so weird. Hold on. Um, there we go. I literally was changing pants. I was driving when I messaged. I found that I could reach the chat. I haven't eaten. I was at this meeting. Whew, I hope you guys can hear me. I was at this meeting for like long story, but I'm excited. Long story short, but it ran definitely late, and whew, I needed a breath. It ran late, and I ran late, and I should have gotten food, but we were just like talking and talking, and I have my Dairy Queen hot dog and my Starbucks from earlier mint tea and my Wendy's baked potato and oh, and then a hot fudge sundae, which probably is going to melt by the end of this. But yeah, thank you so much for waiting. I was debating, like, first of all, it was hard to decide. I was debating whether or not to do this today or like delay it until tomorrow just to take my time. But I'm not going to keep you very long, actually. Um, I'm just excited about this, and I couldn't wait until tomorrow. So, um, welcome. I'm going to leave really kind of the bulk of it is going to be like this specific topic. And then all the Blake Lively stuff. I was just watching Lauren's video about that. What's her name? Dorsey, Miss Dorsey, something. I have thoughts. So the person I met with was I went to this mixer for the 48-hour film project, and I met this person, and we were talking. We just like really kind of hit it off as far as like filmmaking ideas, or not even filmmaking ideas. We didn't even have time at that point. But then decided to meet up. We met up today, and she said some stories that I was like, I was literally, before coming here, I was reading this woman's um, comparison of her experience to Blake Lively's, and like Blake Lively's is nothing. And then now hearing your story from a set, Blake Lively's is nothing. The real stuff is happening out there with filmmakers, with indeed abuse of power in directors, and indeed with misogyny and sexism and all this stuff. The real stuff is happening. It is not what happened here. Anyways, at least as far as we know. So, yeah. All right. Whew. I'm gonna keep this as short as possible, so we can all sleep a little bit better, healthier, but also so just selfishly so I could eat as well once I'm done because I can't eat and talk. Yeah, Miss Elise Dorsey. So, oh boy, I watched the AMAs, and I'm glad that I didn't go live. It was a really rough day yesterday. Um, and but that's not why I'm glad I didn't go live. I just couldn't go live. Um, but man, were they always this bad? It was just I don't know. I felt bad because I felt like um Janet Jackson deserves so much more respect than being given the award that she was given or recognized as an icon on such a like boring award show. I don't know. Um, I saw reports like, "Oh, Taylor Swift was snubbed." Was she though? Did she even want to win that award? Because I mean, it there was no one in the audience. I don't know. It was really sad. It was sad. And they had Gloria Estefan, whatever, she performed. Sorry, I'm also pulling up all the different things that I had pulled up. Um, and I felt like that's cool, but it just seemed sad. It seemed sad more than anything. All right, so only really I have 3 links. So one link though is a YouTube video that will talk a little bit more in depth. It is also a Justin Baldoni video. Before we get to that though, let me pull this over here. Let me just kind of mention the things that I came across over the weekend. And yeah, hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. If you had a long weekend, yay. Um, I felt like sad that yesterday was that people were not working yesterday in my house. Not my house, but I was like, can I just get I love Mondays and I love getting back to work, even though I mean this is really hard work, but like behind the scenes and it's not paid work and whatever, but you know, I like Mondays. I like the new beginning of Mondays, like yes, start a new week. We can do it better than last week kind of mentality, you know. But yesterday felt like a Sunday and I hated it. I don't know if I should say I personally know someone in the industry and it's darker than we think. The movie, the situation, do we have I mean, you can say how little or a lot you want to say. Um, are you referring to the industry being darker than we think? Are you referring to It Ends With Us that being darker than we think? Today, just talking to this girl. I mean, she seems really young. I'm behind on YouTube on vlogs too. Yeah, it's just was to me it was like what we're talking about with It Ends With Us, it just feels like small potatoes. It feels like whatever. So I was debating on whether, oh shoot, I have no data. Crap, why is there no data? Can you guys see me, hear me? Probably not. Darn it. What the heck? Sometimes this is like a Wi-Fi situation. I don't know. Can you guys see me, hear me? Darn it, this is not the night. Internet, this is not the night. Can you guys see me, hear me? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, that's back up. Okay, can you hear me now? I see some things happening that are positive, maybe? Let me know. Let me know when I'm back on. I'll just keep saying some random stupid things in the meantime. We're just talking and talking and talking. Oh gosh, I think it's because I need the internet to plug in the internet before for like a while for it to like I don't know warm up or something. That's what it seems like. It sounds really weird. Oh darn it! Boo hoo hoo. How about now? Are we good? Are we good? Are we stable? I mean, this is more a question to the internet gods. I don't know. Um, I'm pretty sure you can. Like, now we're okay. Maria, is it industry wise, or are you referring to the particular situation with It Ends With Us that they interned on? Um, Gosh, I can't do industry. Okay. Yeah. Um, I would imagine interning is probably one of the worst things too, because you're really at the bottom of the totem pole. Interning and um, assistants. I forget what they're called. Um, I mean, you don't have to say much of anything. You can message me on Patreon or like Instagram privately, and you can just tell me whatever you want to tell me, and then I can kind of regurgitate it in a more generalized, non-specific way to not give away too many details, if that's, you know, um, that's comfortable. Um, but yeah, what I was saying, I don't know how, when I was saying what I was saying, um, yeah, like just a little bit with this, I don't want to call her a friend because I feel like that's jumping the gun, but she's really cool. Um, but yeah, just two stories that she told me, and they were just kind of generalized and more or less benign in a way, but just yeah, and as I told her too, um, yeah, um, like it really puts in perspective this case just from those two stories. Um, awesome, and I'm including my Instagram here too. Follow me, guys, if you want. Um, just from those two stories that she told me, which were already benignish, like nothing really crazy happened, nothing bad happened to her, but it could have. There was like some like, you know, um, intuition and then other things. Just from those two stories, I'm like, what we're talking, this is so ridiculous that we're having this conversation around this case when like none of this happened. Even what Blake herself has said, none of that is what these, so many people have as far as stories um, that are just way worse than actual assault, actual harassment, actual misogyny, actual things. And what I'm really excited for tonight is going through this one video that I found. I don't know when it was. I was going to research when it was actually done, but it's with Justin Baldoni and Emily Baldoni and this psychologist, Dr. Shefali, A Radical Awakening. If you guys have not seen that, or if you've seen that video or their interview together or like about her, and it really also awakened in me the attachment style stuff, the psychology stuff, the um she talks about so much, which I'll go into it, but overview, she talks about toxic femininity and self oppression. And some of these things are, to my brain, Blake wise, I'm like, ooh, alert, alert, something here, something here. Because they speak to what Blake should think about. And then also, uh, I always I always felt this, but I even more so felt this and felt justified in feeling this about connection, and how connection is what we're lacking and what we're needing, and there's nothing bad with connection. And she uses the differentiator as connection versus attachment. Like attachment is codependency or independency, whereas connection is interdependence. It's yeah. So Really excited to talk about that. And I'm also excited about your message. And I'll let me know. I feel pretty confident I can like make it generic, but also let me know if specifically like there's anything very specific you feel iffy about. Maria. Anyways, so I'm going to start with just quick overviews, like literally just super quick speed round. Like I said, AMAs sucked, horrible, terrible. I don't know, maybe it was just me. Maybe it was in my own mood. I just felt like it was just a mess. I'm sorry. It was just a mess. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. Um, between no one really was in the audience. Some like old celebrities were attending this. I feel like, was it last year? I don't know. It wasn't that bad all these past years. It's not been that long since it was good. Um, Obviously, nothing with Taylor Swift. No announcement or whatever. The Swifties were like, oh, she's going to announce something. She wasn't even there. Probably could care less. And then and also, I think she has bigger fish to fry because it's pretty much been confirmed, allegedly, that it was indeed her dad. I think this is the first video that is from Melanie. I think Melanie and I don't like that one video that she did. This is where, like, don't judge a book by its cover, by its first page, I should say, in this situation. That one video that she did with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, where she was like mocking them in this mocky voice. And I was like, I'll never watch her, not my thing. And now I'm watching her a lot, and I feel like we could be friends. I feel like genuinely, I think we could be friends. And I don't say that very often about YouTubers. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I guess this is what's going to work because I don't have the bubbles, I don't have the things, and whatever. So I think it was this where it's been pretty confirmed. Wait, the thing. Um, that it was indeed Taylor's dad. This one says, sorry, this is, oh, sorry. This is saying that Taylor even didn't know about it. No, wait, wait. Are you saying Melanie's or Taylor's? You're not, no. Hold on. Because I know things about like Melanie and her mom and some of her past and stuff, but like, who are you referring to? Um, because yeah, talking too many things and I'm not prepared. My brain is like not prepared to do. Okay, it's not Taylor's mom. It's Melanie's. Okay, that's sad. Oh my gosh, another YouTuber had a death in the family too. Recently that I watched. Kelty, for anyone who watches, I don't know, I like her. Like she has fitness challenges and stuff. Um, yeah, I think I knew that about Melanie. It's really sad. Um, Sorry. Yeah, because she was saying that she was kind of off. But yeah, so this article, this is the original, I guess, article or whatever, the original person that said this whole thing about Taylor's dad, and how, yeah, basically, I think I was trying
to
to
the
find
source
it.
versus just the article that kind of cites the source about it. And
Sorry. Basically, not even Taylor Swift knew about it. It sounds really credible, but it doesn't mean that it is. It's the truth, but it sounds really credible. It says here, Scott made the call, not Taylor. She was willing to forgive and move on, which is kind of hard to imagine with Taylor Swift. She has so many songs to the opposite and sentiments to the opposite. Um, but I can also understand in this case, this is a little different because was whatever, the godmother of these children to this person, to Blake. And it seems with the latest stunt, allegedly, latest stunt that, court listener again, um, bringing this Miss, whatever her name is, sorry, no offense, Miss Dorsey, um, into it. I feel like Blake is maybe, or like the people around her or whatever, someone's really good at manipulating people to whatever they need, to whatever Blake needs, or whatever her interests are. And so I can also understand how this was maybe different than just a regular friendship and a regular, ex-boyfriend or whatever to Taylor. And so she was willing to like just forgive and move on, or just at least not attack her, not, make things worse. But according to this, a family insider says that Scott made the call. She was willing to forgive, but Scott said absolutely not. Blake is dangerous. And I mean, it sounds like a parent. Doesn't mean that this is true. I mean, when you say a family insider, at this point, who knows? I'm really like, show me the proof, but I'll take this into consideration. Like, I'm not sold 100%, like, oh yeah, this is the truth, this is for sure, because I'm not there. But yeah, I believe Taylor's team will give information if Justin's lawyers ask for it legally. Yeah, I think I need to start eating, or at least making my food, because my stomach's a little in pain suddenly. Um, I, oh gosh, what I heard, I don't, I didn't pull this one up. Let me show you what I heard over the weekend as far as Blake Lively, which I was like, I don't know, do I spread this rumor? It's a blind item thing. Maybe you guys already knew. Where is it? Oh my gosh, YouTube. Oh, that baked potato smells so good. Sorry, getting to it. Okay, there we go. What snack are you getting, Maria? Tell us when you come back. Um, Actually, I don't know where it was. I'm just gonna pull up this this person's video. I'm gonna include either the video or just the whole channel. I don't know who this person is, but he's doing these blind items on Blake Lively right now. Sorry. And in more than one, remember how there was that whole conversation around how she was, sorry, how she was uh disheveled or whatever the next day after or before the shoot, like she showed up late and she showed up like she wasn't put together and stuff. And I feel so professional preparing my baked potato on live. um and how people were like, oh, she must be drinking and whatever. Well, this guy says something else. Like, she was doing something else. She was doing something that rhymes with candy cane, but it's just one word. And that's a big allegation. And I'm not gonna lie that at this point, I anything's possible. Anything's possible. He also, there was another blind item, and he says like some of them he can confirm from that are from him and from someone else, and the others he doesn't necessarily confirm that they were true. I need like a real fork. Did I I brought the fork somewhere. Plastic forks are just, I don't know why people even bother making plastic forks, because they're, for a baked potato, nothing. Oh, ew, sorry. I forgot this is not sour cream. I usually never put this spread. I just put regular butter, or not even put butter. And I'm talking and not thinking. So let me see if I can find it. I think it was in part, I think it was part one. I think it was the first one. So, but I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense. And another blind item was saying that she used to drink, but then Blake or Ryan doesn't like her drinking. So she stopped drinking for him or whatever.
I just wanted
Let's
to
see.
share some stuff with you, specifically Blake Lively blind items, because she has a history going back to the beginning of her career of basically doing the same thing that she's been accused of doing now. So some caveats. Unless they are one of mine, they are just the best guesses. Although I will tell you that a couple of them I can guarantee you are 100% correct, especially the ones from Ted Casablanca. So let us begin. And we will go back to December 13th, 2007.
I think this one is
And it is one of mine. This actress is so new on the scene that it is scary that she is already the subject of a blind item.
That sounds good.
Television actress and young on a new network show. A modest hit, if you will. Maybe better than modest. At a recent party, she saw some people who had brought some Coke. Being the idiot our young actress is, she said something along the lines of that now she is on a hit show. She wanted to see what all the fuss was about and wanted to try Coke. So try it and try it she did for most of the night. Enough so that the two guys providing it had to get some more. When informed how much they had spent and she had snorted, she offered to help pay, but they wanted more. So her actress who had the big break has now snorted Coke at a party and been banged by two guys for the privilege. Can't wait to see what the other cast members are doing.
And there's a few or a couple that say this substance thing. I don't know. I wasn't as surprised as I should have been. You know, I was saying, like, I can see her not being a drinker. Didn't even think of drugs. I don't know. I guess either I'm buying into the marketing of her, or it's not true. Like, I mean, these are blind items and we're taking this guy's word for it, right? So don't take his word. Take it with the grain of salt that is internet and celebrity gossip. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I wouldn't have been doing my job on here if I had seen this weekend and was shocked by it. Not as shocked as I should have been, but shocked, and then not shared it with you guys, because that's how I feel about our little community over here. Like, my knowledge is your knowledge. I can't just like keep things from you. But again, take it with the grain of salt that is needed for the internet and for celebrity gossip. And also the one thing that, and I'm not an expert in these substances, so I don't know, but back in the Dare days, my understanding is that, especially a first time user, you can, like, she would have OD'd if there was like so much. So I don't know. There was another story with this, and that's why, and I think it was in another video that sounded very much like the instance that those people described from Preserve, and that felt a little bit more like, oh, I can see that because we had that story, and it was talking about like how she was disheveled or whatever. Let's see if I can
Ungrateful actress is sabotaging her own movie career. She is starting to badmouth the director and producer of her latest film. Well, that sounds familiar.
That's
As well as
Affleck.
she's now trashed not like him cheating on her. September 30th, 2010. Star Blonde is at the forefront of plastic surgery innovation. She
Okay,
ended it. And that's Penn Badgley and Blake Lively. Because surgical secret revealed. Otherwise, Nick is always blabbing to the press how her body's totally natural. Actress to pull a similar stunt. And back Veronica Bee stings. Whispers of some lingering touches with this lead actor or a lot of private time running lines with that.
Okay, not that. There's a lot of that stuff, which.
Hey, everybody. December 11th, 2008, from Page 6. Which actress who plays a teen on a hit TV show incorrectly insists she's a size 0? Employee wise to a slightly older, beautiful actress with the same problem.
Okay, I don't know. Sorry. Hi, Angel. Welcome. Loved your channel. Loved it. Hi. Celebrities like to use mushrooms and MDA. Yeah, I mean, it's when you're exposed to it when you're young, and then it's like there. I don't know. I can't imagine trying. I can't imagine trying anything substance wise, like even smoking and stuff. But that's just me. Sorry for the eating. I don't know if baked potato is the best choice. Man, this tastes so good. Oh, can't wait to eat it. Okay. So, I can understand, and also I can understand if this was like part of her past, and she tried it, she was crazy, she was young, whatever. I think a lot of the issue is like, I mean, this is illegal, so why would she be upfront about it? But a lot of the issue is just pretending like you're so clean cut, like you've never done anything bad. I think that would be the issue. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know also because no one else is talking about this. Everyone's just talking about how she's a drinker, but she says that she doesn't drink, but she does drink and she's lying to us about it. And I'm like, well, this guy says something stronger. I really wish I could find the one that talked about the imagery was so much like the preserve situation, but it wasn't alcohol that was with it. Oh my gosh, these ads.
Without much analysis, as they try to look at her breasts. During her last relationship, applied the next press event. Favor. She tagged along with me to a party. A family member who might have got a bit flack, Jennifer Garner.
When it comes to getting to market,
I'll include, you can watch his stuff. They're quick, they're fun, whatever. Some of them really don't sound credible or like a stretch, and some do. All right. So yeah, so the whole Taylor Swift dad thing. And then I like how she covered this. Was there something else? I don't think. Oh my gosh, another freaking ad. The same ad. They're really taking this like 15 impressions until you actually buy. I've not bought anything from any of these ads. She goes into Kim Kardashian's supposed support for Blake Lively because she did a Deadpool themed party for a kid, which is crazy. I agree. I don't think, even as an adult, I feel like this Deadpool stuff is ridiculous and just crude, cruel, all of the above. I am not interested, but kids might not. I remember when I was a kid and watching some probably very inappropriate stuff. And kids don't really understand it, so they probably, the parents should not have let them watch it, but like they probably just think it's cool, like superhero kind of thing. Who knows? Or just like maybe they didn't even see the movie. I don't know. That's cool, Anna. So yeah, so that's like that. Sorry, don't have much to this particular video, and I'm trying to get to the meat and potatoes of this. This was an interesting one. I don't think I included the time of this. Oh yeah, talking about Ben Affleck as a director. Now listen closely to this one, keeping in mind what she's saying and doing, you know, regarding Justin.
Is you squirming.
Ah, okay.
He is so smart and so intuitive, and he holds such high standards that I trust that when he's ready to move on, or when he says that he got it, that he really has it, that he has what he needs to make this movie. And acting alongside him is just so great, because, you know, he keeps it rolling. He makes you feel comfortable. He'll do things that he won't even use in the movie, but you realize he's just improvising in the beginning and the end to make you feel like, okay, we're not doing a scene, we're not doing these set lines, we're just living. We're here in Boston, we're in a bar, we're in an apartment, and this is just us interacting with each other. When those lines fit in, they fit in, but it doesn't just begin and end where the page begins and ends. And, you know, it's been really helpful and has made this experience so much easier, because it is such a challenge and such a big undertaking. And he's just like such a happy, excited person that you want to do well for him.
I don't think that I have much to say. I mean, she said it all. And, you know, I guess I could spoon feed it, but like, yeah. Isn't that ironic? Don't you think? Like, she's literally claiming harassment for for Justin improvising, and also oh gosh, the internet is at it again. Yeah, not Baldoni then. Yeah, he's a terrible human being, according to her, apparently. But yeah, so he's or she's like, you know, claiming harassment when it comes to him improvising, when it comes to him talking not in character, etc., which I guess is not the same thing. It's kind of the opposite, but you know, bear with me. It's just like the idea of how like just selective she is, and the idea that Ben Affleck at this time especially, he was like much bigger than her, and he had more power, he had more gravitas, as people say, you know. So of course she's going to say nice things and buddy, and then also I mean, half of those blind item rumors are about her and Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. So, you know, there was that too, maybe, that she was buttering him up for, but or because, I don't know, but yeah, it just seems like same thing, different tune, same kind of idea, but even maybe worse, because again, then you start thinking, so was it because Justin didn't, like, she made advancements towards Justin and he, you know, rejected her? Is that why she's doing it? It makes you think of, excuse me, that kind of stupid stuff, because of the rumors that she and Ben Affleck were, you know, having an affair. Excuse me, and she's talking so highly about director not sticking to the script. And yet when this other guy, you know, didn't stick to the script, maybe, even though what we saw was that he absolutely stuck to the script in that one scene, at least, that she said that he didn't. She was the one that didn't. And yeah, exactly, easy target. Literally, weak link is something that I have in my notes a little later. Or was it now? No, I think it like a little later, yeah. And then this other one, I'm just gonna, I think it's queued up though. Let's see.
He also put in the movie,
Call
and the
five.
interviewer does this.
There's a big scandal happening.
I know, there is. I mean, it's all, I don't know.
Let's have another drink. And you were telling me backstage you support Baldoni. Is that right?
No. Oh, my God. Well, here comes my subpoena.
Ha ha ha, that's so funny. Pomfig is...
Now, I think, I mean, the people that are in the media at least shown like, oh, they're subpoenaing left and right are Wayfair parties. So I think I could see him saying it that way, although it didn't sound like he was talking about them. It sounded like he was talking about Blake subpoenaing him. Although, like, honestly, like, it just didn't sound like it makes any sense. Subpoena is asking for information, so him saying that he's not Team Baldoni is not is not information. It's not tea. Like, I don't know what. Does anyone know? Do we know more law than like people as old as Paul Feig right now? Like, um, but yeah, I think the joke was because the way that she says it, Jersey kind of focuses on the subpoena part of it. But I think just from the start, he says, "Oh God, like that's I don't know." Like he was about to say that's ridiculous or that's like such a mess or that's such it just looked like he was about to say like it was a joke.
Happening.
I know there is. I mean, it's all. I don't know.
Let's have another.
I don't know. That's like to me that's what it comes across like cuz if he took it seriously, if he felt very serious about it, knows there's different ways people talk that you don't know, you know. But to me that's what it comes across like he's not taking this like he doesn't see this lawsuit at all serious like kids these days kind of thing. Um and then Kirsty mentions Paul Feig's new movie Handmaids has both Brendan Sklenar and Michele. All right. And then she also talks about Sean Levy or Levy or whatever. And I thought the only thing that I took from that, because I didn't feel like there was much information, was sorry. Internet is coming in and out, guys. I'm so sorry. Man. Yeah, it feels like it's not a big deal to them. If you can hear me, which I don't think you can because I have like 0 and 0 and just nothing. But it it's the most frustrating because I don't know. I see so many different things light up here and I don't know when it's really not showing anything and not sending anything to you guys and when it is, you know, when it's just like kind of freaking out a little bit like, oh, no internet, you know. So, yeah. Just waiting for a little bit. I don't know if you can, if I'm like really bad on, or really back online. Because it seems like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. Let me try. I don't even know what to try. I'm back, but I'm like so delayed. This is so frustrating. All right, let's hope this works. I don't know if it like picks right back up or it's still delayed. Drop a dolphin when you hear drop a dolphin in the chat. Okay. The next part of this is I'm just going to get to the meat and potatoes, honestly, right now. But this also, check this out. Check Lauren's video out from earlier. It is crazy. It was very frustrating. She was getting extremely frustrated for very good reason. I was getting frustrated with her, not because she was getting frustrated, but just from her, what she was reading, what this person was saying, what she was made to say. Yay, the dolphin. Yeah, quite delayed. So it's okay. I mean, I'll just, it'll be interesting as far as, you know, chat conversation because of the delay now. Yeah, because it's not like, oh, I'll just stop and then it'll catch up, you know? So, yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look. I found this video on, I don't even know, it was suggested to me on YouTube and it made me wonder some things. This is a good transition because it really made me wonder. I think it was partially, you know, what I've been kind of thinking of and whatever. And so maybe I'm projecting, but like I do wonder, does Blake from like 19-year-old Blake, 20-year-old Blake, especially Blake before, oh, even the chat is delayed, darn it. Especially Blake that was before Gossip Girl days. I wonder if she looks back at photos of herself from back then, if she looks back at videos of herself from back then, and thinks, how did I get here? How did I become this person? Let me show you this video because there's definitely, you know, obviously talk about, I mean, there's one kind of like not fun video or, you know, blind item thing about her and Penn Badgley even. But I started watching this clip and it just made me think of that, you know, like I think, like, I really do believe almost, if not all of us, are born innocent. We're born good people and things go wrong along the way. And I guess like this made me think like if they would have stayed together for whatever reason, they didn't stay together, they didn't work, whatever. You know, and you can say he's better off without her, she's better off without him. You can say whatever. But just looking at this, it made me think, I saw these like kids in love or, you know, in a relationship, doing relationship. And I don't know, it just made me wonder like she had like she has a lot of bad stories from back then, from Gossip Girl days and all this stuff. But I feel like there's still like a way where at this point in her life, it could have gone a very different way had she met someone other than Ryan and had she been with someone other than Ryan. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of humanized her a little bit. And I feel like I will bring that back a little bit later as well. But in a more psychology kind of way. This, I don't know. It made me think also, I put here like how you guys and how people were saying that it's really Ryan behind all of the things, and he's kind of not wanted her to work, and one of the blind items is there talking about that as well. And it made me think, kind of go down that rabbit hole, like maybe what if, like, I think you guys were saying, like, what if Justin was a scapegoat to all of it, a projection for like all she's been through with Ryan or with other guys, with other directors, with other actors, with other male producers or whatever. What if it's like a projection for what she's been through, by her husband, even subconsciously, where she's, because, projection usually is a subconscious, I think, thing, but where she can see that Ryan is like the bad guy because she's so in love, or because they have kids together, because they build this perfect image to the public, to the whole world. It's hard enough to kind of break that when you have this image built of your relationship with like mutual friends or family members. And then imagine that on the scale of the whole world. And it seems like she definitely wanted to be appreciated, whether it's like taken seriously or just being liked, being famous, being popular, whatever form that took. She wanted to be appreciated. So I can imagine a world, or, a possibility where maybe she even subconsciously or even consciously feels like she's not treated the best by Ryan or whatever, but like she can't admit that, maybe to even herself or to everyone else, that is a thing, and she builds them up on this pedestal, and she thinks he's like the best director and that he is the best at writing things, and because it seems like she doesn't see that he's not. It seems like she really believes that he is, or like she doesn't see that she's not. It's kind of like when people are like um whatever, when people are like they're just so sucked into the bubble that they're in with the friends that they have, the mean girl aspect, the gossip people, the whatever, and the bros, the locker room talk, where they literally can't see outside of that. They don't know that that is so small of a circle, and only a small circle appreciates that. And most of the world looks down on that, doesn't find that humorous, doesn't find that funny or appealing or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? I can say, I can 100% say it's obvious she wanted this film completely. Yeah, yeah. So we're like running, behind a bit here. Um, yeah, but like, why? Was it because she saw Ryan do that with Deadpool and having his thing, and like maybe the Simple Favor relies also on Anna, so it's like more, not just the Blake show or whatever. She saw that, and I'll get to it actually, I think a little bit later, but yeah, like, um, yeah, was it like because she saw and she wanted that too? Was it because he kind of said, oh, you should have that, or oh, here's your opportunity, or like, oh, you do this, so he could be proud of her? Because I know people say like he didn't want her to work and all that stuff. But things can change too. I don't know. 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 It's just weird. Was it because, like I started saying, was this a projection onto Justin? So, but that doesn't really match too much with how she took control of the different aspects of the movie. If he was just a projection of everything that she resented about maybe her husband or maybe other men in the past or whatever. Um, so yeah, but I do have this like one, I guess, speculation or theory or whatever. Like, yeah, it was a projection, and then she takes it out on kind of the antithesis of a guy who disrespects women, who disrespects anyone, as you'll see soon. A guy who is in sleepwalking and subconscious beliefs and undealt trauma, but is actively working on himself, on how he treats others, on how he treats women, on how he can support women in his life and the men in his life and do better, and how he sees, like he spoke, I think, in at that round table, how he and Jamie agree on this, like men and women, as long as they're not equal, the world will suffer. So the male and female, the men and women need to be equal in order for the world to be good and to be better. So why, like, did she take it out on him because of that? Because she was like, so like, that doesn't exist because like my husband isn't like that and that's just not how men are, or whatever. I don't know. Kind of that like stuck in resentment or feeling stuck, and then just like, yeah, just scapegoating. And I said maybe saw him a weak, like, maybe saw a weak link in him, a good guy she could take her frustration on with how she's been treated, how she's allowed herself to be treated, which is the segue to this other part. Sorry, just, me and crossing things off. Boy, do I have so many minutes that I didn't open. I think there's something we're missing. Yeah, I feel like either we're missing or it's like right under our nose. There's just like, right now, I feel like there's like an incomplete picture. It's not clear. And it's not, I guess, supposed to be clear at this point because we haven't really gotten to, like, nothing's been proven or disproven. Nothing's been really tried. We've not gotten to the trial. I'm opening up all of these links for just make this, I guess, a little bit smoother. There's actually not as many as Friday. There's a few. It's like half of the openings, the timestamps, whatever. Gosh, I can't talk. My gosh, I'm getting like a headache. I'm so ready to eat. But I know from like 48-hour film days that like I can do this. I can do this. And all right. Well, that's not what I wanted because that's not going to give us very good things. I don't know why I keep going to that song, especially for someone who doesn't like classical music. Yeah, too soon, so the picture is unclear. Right. It seems like the chat is a little bit more caught up, if not caught up at all. All right. Let me know if you guys can see this. This is Dr. Shefali, A Radical Awakening is her book. I don't know when this was done because this is a fan account that posted this. Let me try to see. If I can find it really quick. I think it was in May 2021. No way. Hold on. Don't, no. Hold on. No freaking way. No freaking, for anyone who likes synchronicity and blah, 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 blah. Look at this. What's today's date? May 27, 2025. When was this announced? May 27, 2021. What? This is so crazy. Wow. It was meant to be, guys. It was meant to be. Hi, P. Welcome. Man, that is so freaking cool. Can't believe that. So exactly, how many years is that? 4 years ago? Yeah. exactly 4 years ago. Exactly 4 years ago at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, although I was late, so yeah. Imagine if I had started on time at 9:30 p.m. Eastern and went right into this. Imagine I don't think synchronicity is the word. I forget the name of it. But yeah, how things are just linked and tied. Wow, I feel like even more excited to talk about this now. Okay, so she talks about a radical awakening, and then here's like the first clip. Let's just like play it and then talk about it. That's like, the best way.
Our patterns, we have to look at what's in the backstory, what's in the back end, what's deep down, and we have to kind of excavate that and stare at ourselves brutally, honestly, transparently in the mirror, and see how our childhood has set us up for these robotic patterns. The people we marry, the foods we eat, the way we talk to ourselves in our head, these are programmed into us. And we think that it's just who we are. We don't realize it's our program, right? So a lot of my work with my clients is to make them realize these are not your thoughts, these are conditionings. And it takes them so long to understand that they have a choice to change their patterns, right?
And I'll stop there. That is why I love the attachment style, particularly the attachment style coaching that, well, now I'm trained in, but like what I did for so long on personaldevelopmentschool.com. Shout out to them. Okay. You and your money. Yeah, so yeah, I feel so strongly about this that before personal story time, before my just previous relationship, the relationship of my life so far, I felt like if I was questioning anything that I did, said, thought, I was abandoning myself. I was abandoning who I am. That if I question anything about me, I mean, not minor things, but like even just like, yeah, I don't know. And I felt like, I was doing it for the other person, or I was like forsaking myself for the other person or something. I don't even know if forsake is the word. And then the way that I view it, and I don't know if this is just how I interpreted it or how it actually went, but I really liked my ex. I really fell in love, like for real. And I really wanted to keep the relationship safe. I really wanted to keep what I felt like we had safe. And I felt it was sacred. So it was the reason why I started questioning, and I felt safer to question the thoughts, the beliefs, the way that I would approach things. Because one of the things that I used to do, even with him at the beginning, and maybe even through the end, one of the things that I used to do was not really care how I was coming across. And I don't think it was through the end. I think I ended up going too much on the other side. But I used to be like, if you have a problem with how I'm telling you something, that's your problem, not my problem. And I mean, I hear this a lot on, TikTok psychology, armchair psychology. And to an extent, yes, that's true. But most of the time it's not. A lot of the time it is how we speak to people that we have to be mindful of. But because I guess, I don't know, the way, again, that I interpreted, I loved him so much that I was like, oh, maybe I should listen to him saying that maybe he's like hurt by this. And that's not what he would say, that, oh, this hurts me or whatever. But that was the messaging I would get. Or like I would notice that he was not really happy with being spoken to, like very roughly. Like, and I'm not even, it's so weird to say that I spoke roughly, but like, yeah, like, I have such a vivid memory of this instance when I was coming from a film shoot and I was in the car, and I remember saying this to him. I just don't remember the specific dialogue because, again, everything's nuanced, and that's why I'm so against like psychology from TikTok or YouTube or anywhere unless you're taking advice from a therapist that's licensed or someone that's like really good coach, because there are some good coaches, not everyone is. And even then the soundbite can like hinder more than help. So, like I'm trying to be careful and be mindful of that, and also on your end be careful and be mindful of how nuanced things are. But yeah, anyways, but the whole idea of like, I just learned that, me being late all the time, or me being unfiltered, um or just like very stream of consciousness. Like, I can choose to be that person, but that's not necessarily because I was born to be that person. It's not necessarily that I wasn't. It's Everything is programming, and me being attracted to him and all that stuff is programming. And yeah, it's just like so fascinating and so interesting. And so they started with like, that's a soft one. That's a soft start. But also just something that I'm so excited about and so invested in communicating and kind of working on myself. I thought he said peach. I was like, let me take a break and go in the chat about peaches. But he said preach. I get an alert from Reddit that people's Google account was hacked, so I'm moving. Oh. Ooh, yeah. Everyone, make sure your Google account was not hacked. I don't know how you would know that. Oh my gosh. Like, there's just so many moving pieces to those things. Hopefully everything's good on your end, Maria, and also on everyone else's end too, on all our ends. Well, Google is the last place you want hacked. Everything's in Google. I mean, not for everyone, I guess. So yeah, she also, I think it was in the same maybe continuation.
And then I talk a lot about female sexuality and how we've been out. How do you crack the matrix? Divorce, beauty. I kill that and I replace it. Quit being good. Stop being egoless way of living and embracing your essence. So that's kind of how the book is laid out. We're talking about radical awakening, guys.
I think she talks later about it. Sorry, I thought it was she mentions the true connection versus attachment. That true connection is not whatever. Okay, we'll talk about that kind of idea a little later on. Sorry. AOL. Oh my gosh. AOL. Oh, that gives me like really cool throwback vibes. AOL. I logged into AIM because you can. I think it was AIM. And of course, none of my chats were saved from 25 years ago or whatever that was. Oh boy, that's really cool. All right. Oh, darn it.
Perfect woman.
That's the constant thing that is running in the background.
Yeah, but we've inherited this. Culture has told us how to be the perfect woman, but now we oppress ourselves. We are our worst critics, and we compete with each other, and we dim our light. And the only way we can really heal the planet is through the rising of the awakened male and the awakened female. But really, we females, we women have to take charge, because we are the connectors. We are the tribe builders. We are the mothers. So the onus is on the oppressed always to rise up. We can't wait for the ones in privilege to give us permission.
How does someone, besides getting your book?
Okay, yeah. Then we go to the next one. So yeah, I like how she said it, and I think I thought about Blake Lively in this, and I think if she talks again a little later on about something similar, where I think it's like later on, but yeah, like we oppress ourselves as women. I think she talks a little bit more, yeah, in 2 points from now. But that was like kind of the opening line of it. And the onus is on the oppressed to, I think I said that word right, to always rise up, can't wait for permission. There was, I actually already filmed the vlog, but didn't edit the vlog, so I'll say it here if I maybe never even get to the vlog. But there was on The Bachelor, there was Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell. There was a huge controversy around Rachel Kirkconnell. One of the hardest words to pronounce for someone with an accent. She was, there were pictures from her sorority something party where it was at a plantation, and it was a whole, like, they were dressed like those times, and maybe sponsored by Blake Lively. I'm kidding. Just kidding with that, but that would have been an opportunity. Anyways, and so being that Matt James was African American, he was black, that didn't sit well, obviously, with everyone, and it was just a mess, a PR mess, and just a all over mess. But I remember in the final rose, whatever, they sit down and talk, and they weren't together anymore. And I think he said something to the way that she says a little later as well, like, because I think Justin points this out too. It's like, women would say, just like African American people would say, it's not on us. Like, we've been dealing with it for so long, we're tired. Like, you do your work. And what I will say, and I don't remember exactly what Dr. Shefali says, it's like, yeah, I also think of a Man Enough podcast with Liz that said, like, yeah, but women know the best how they are oppressed and how they're being, gosh, my brain, I need my brain to be working, but that whole, like, internet on and off, like, just turn my brain off. Women know best how men mistreat them, because like, what their fears are that men can't even imagine, because they just don't have that experience. So for them to have empathy and for them to know what women are going through in their experience, like, women need to speak up. Women need to, like, teach them or, like, show them, express, say whatever. And it's not so much, I think it depends on the person that you're with, as far as, like, if it's a partner, if it's a friend, if it's community, if it's at work, whatever. There's different levels. There's different levels of people needing more hand holding than others. But the person, the community, the group that's oppressed, if they stick to, she talks about this, like, they need to, like, stick together, and they need, like, there's power in those numbers. And so, like, they need to come together. Women need to come together to have the strength to guide and teach, potentially, men how to, like, undo all this bad programming that we all have had. And same thing, with other oppressed groups. But, like, they definitely do touch on, I think it's, I wonder if it's, like,
Start
right
to
here.
go through that process, because I've watched Emily do it, but the process of inner work, and that inner work leading to that awakening. What's that look like?
Okay, maybe not. Maybe it's later. Darn it. Just watch this whole thing, and yeah, I wish I could.
Most people languish, they're apathetic, they're complacent.
Okay, wait. I'm going into another one. Maybe I'll come back to that thought. Sorry. You still have an AOL account. I mean, I don't know why I'm surprised. I know it's still out there. I know people do, but for some reason I'm, like, so surprised.
So true transformation requires a releasing of the old. And we don't want to do that because we're deeply attached to the old. So we want all the jewels of the new, but we can't let go of the old. And this is why most people languish, they're apathetic, they're complacent, and they're stuck. is because we don't realize that in order to pivot to the new, the trade-off for the delicious prize of the newfound freedom, like Emily said, is the terrifying loss of the old attachments. We can't have it both ways. And true spiritual growth is understanding that I have to leave the shell. I have to let go. You know, the chicken breaks out. She lets go of that egoic shell and dissolves it, crushes it, and she births. In the same way, we have to let go of our egoic masks in order to birth.
That just like reminded me again of something in my relationship and how I was saying that, you know, I feel like my driving force was the love that I had found towards my partner that made me, in her words, let go of my shell and question it and analyze it and, you know, what was serving me, what was not. And I mean, I did a pretty terrible job. I'm not here to say that, oh, I was like a stellar student. I didn't know what I was doing, especially at the beginning. And had I found the attachment style stuff before? I don't know. Like, I feel like I had good guidance even before, but like, it's a process and it also takes two. And I also was thinking as she was talking, I'm like, because this languishing word, I think I learned from my ex. I think he said this word at one point, like during the pandemic, or something else. I don't know. No, it was something else. I forget. But it made me think of that, like, because like I feel experienced some of that. I don't know. And so, but he had a lot more resistance to growth. I love growth. I'm like, yeah, give me all the self-help books, all the theories. I'll figure it out. I mean, not right now. Right now, I'm in that same space of like, I'm burned out. I don't want to work on myself. I'm tired. I'm in that angry space of like, why do I need to change? Why can't the world change? And why do I need to teach the world, you know, things and whatever. Yeah, but I was definitely, maybe I had more energy because as far as like relationships, I just didn't have that many relationships. I didn't have really almost any before him. And so like, maybe I had more energy. I was starting from like a fresher space where I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's, you know, do work. Let's make this work. And so I think I had more flexibility in that. And so I was less tired and less stuck. And I was more like, okay, yeah, no, this is not going well. Like, let's figure out why. So yeah, but yeah, it made me think of that. Sorry. It's, I don't know. It made me think again of at the beginning, the initial watching of this, of Blake Lively, and how she's like, it seems at least that she doesn't want to let go of the old, and she's surrounded probably by people that don't feel like that's helpful. They joke, both her and Justin, Dr. Shefali and Justin joke about how like he suggests that it's probably the same guy who left a bad comment on her book, left the bad comment on his book. And it's like these people that feel, and men that feel very threatened for a number of reasons. But anyway, sorry, I'm like, I get ahead of myself, and I'm just like excited. And also like, I don't remember, even though I just saw this twice. I saw it, I think yesterday and today, but still. I watched the one when Emily had a cast on her leg. I don't remember that one. I haven't watched that many. But I like, the more I watch, the more I really enjoy this. And, you know, in a way, I'm almost happy that this is happening because it's making me watch these more than I would have otherwise. Like, I remember hearing about Man Enough, and I saw some of the table stuff, and I always was like, oh yeah, let me go back and watch it. Oh yeah, let me go back and watch it. And he had a podcast. Oh yeah, let me listen to it. Let me watch it. And then it never happened. And now here we are, kind of not forced to, but like have this
We
opportunity.
get, no, Emily, that we
It's okay. The same guy probably commented on mine
No,
too.
there you go.
Oh,
because it threatens.
Yeah.
Selfish, not a good woman. How could you be a family wrecker? So we immediately get so guilty and feel so ashamed because we have not been encouraged to put ourselves first, and males have been encouraged. You know, they're like, it's okay, be loud, be brash, take your time, lie down on the sofa all day.
That reminds me of my little brother. Just the first part, this first part, be loud. I'm probably more of the brash one though. That's what I was saying. Like I didn't have a very kind tone, but that was also me. I feel like still kind of trying to figure out the balance because, and I really want to read her book now, but just the balance of having a voice. And I remember like when back at the beginning of this relationship that I had, like I remember how I thought it was so literally until now listening to all of these videos and things, I thought that it was such a unique to me experience, sadly, that I needed to learn to take up space, to be comfortable with taking up space. I thought it was such a unique thing to me. Like I was the only one. I think because also in Romania, women didn't seem like they didn't. I don't know. To me, from the outside, it seemed like other women were okay with taking up space, you know? And yeah, Romanian women, I felt like were always taking up space. I came here in the US, it seemed like girls took up space. So it felt like it was so me, only me, but then hearing how common it is apparently, that, you know, there's like this whole book that needs to happen, this whole movement that needs to happen, the whole journey that Emily is going through and has gone through that needs to happen to feel comfortable to take up space. I had posted a while ago on Facebook, back when I did Facebook, I had posted this post about how to be a good mom, basically, you needed to not be selfless. Or some like along those lines, because she talks like, you know, the idea that we need to be martyrs. Emily was saying that. Or no, again, she's saying this later. The idea of being a martyr as a woman for your children, for society, for your husband, for your family. In my culture, at least, it's the idea for your children and for your family, like your parents. As a woman, your husband, it's a little bit more equal, but yeah, maybe depends on the husband, the situation, and not even generation necessarily. I don't know. And I posted that, and I'll talk about it when I get there. But yeah, sorry. Gosh, I mean, yeah, they even talk kind of about similar things, and I forget, like, oh no, that's the next point, right? Okay. Emily Baldoni fan page video was posted one day ago. That's the video I'm going to finish watching. Yeah, this one I think, right? It was like yesterday or the other day.
Arrogance of this kind of toxic masculine ideology that it's a one-man show, and it's only through interdependence and community, which we women are so amazing at building, that we can uplift and elevate each other. And you have to go through a quest, either the 12 step or intense work or this book, your book, to open up our inner enlightenment to the understanding that we have been our greatest oppressors. All our suffering is now because we have subscribed. You know, we pay a daily subscription to the toxicity and subscription. So this book is challenging women, especially, who complain a lot about being in the patriarchy. But I'm showing women all the ways that they co-perpetuated and co-created in their own mental suffering.
This is Blake Lively. She always complains about the patriarchy. Oh, women are just like given, you know, vapid roles and just told to sit on the pink tape on the ground or whatever. Of course, the internet. I don't know if you can still hear me. Gosh, I sometimes, especially during these moments, I pull my video up just to kind of keep in touch with where I'm at, where you guys are at. It's not looking great. This internet situation is so bad. Let me know if you can hear me well, because I can see my images broken up. So I'll continue because I'm recording this, and I'll finish. I'll make these little snippets and stuff. So where was I? Oh yeah. So to me, when I heard that, especially the part of, for this book is for the women who keep complaining about being in the patriarchy, but don't realize that they co-create, perpetuate. And then until we really awaken to how I co-create my inner oppression, I will not be able to shatter the ceiling. Because Blake keeps talking in so many interviews, women are not given these roles. They're not given, the complexities of being a woman type of roles. And there is this glass ceiling to her all the time. This whole like lawsuit is almost kind of about that. It's the man oppressing the woman, the man harassing the woman. This happens all the time, and we need to stop it. And it does. But I love this realization that it's not just them. It's not just an other issue. It's an us issue too. Whether it's about, being a woman or whatever it is, being a man and like, oh, poor me, I'm a man and I'm being whatever. No matter where you stand, no matter what ism you have, no matter where, definitely wonky internet. No matter, what your community is that is being oppressed. You love ballet in a world that hates it. Whatever. Like it seriously can be that benign to like a lot harder. There is the co-creation, and this is in attachment style, and the coaching thing that I did, that I do, that I had done to me, whatever. There's always a talk of like you co-create. Any Dr. Kurhanda, I believe, also spoke about this. You co-create the situation. It's not just you and them and they need to do something or you need to do something. Damage to the relationship or flourishing of the relationship or whatever is co-created. But I also, just like as far as like the Blake part is, it just spoke so like exactly to all those internet interviews of her just complaining about like, oh, women just get these roles. And I say it's complaining because I'm like, but other women don't get those roles. So I think it's just you. And I think, to her credit, because of how she looks and how things are, like she maybe was put in that peg, in that hole, in that whatever label. But it's still at the same time something for her to unfortunately work on too. Like it's not just like the men need to change. So I don't know. It's hard. I will say for me it is. I understand how hard it is to like accept that, and like I said, right now I'm in my state of I don't want to hear it. I just want to sulk. I just want to be sad. I just want to be angry. I don't want to be any of those things actually. I'm just kind of avoiding emotion. I'm avoiding processing anything. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to solve the world's problems. I don't want to deal with gender and with relationship issues and all this stuff. I don't want to deal with it. I was actually thinking earlier, like it's, for me was like for years it was a very active ongoing thing for me. It wasn't a passive thing, so I would always kind of bring up conversations or like try to fix it or try to tackle it or try to understand it, understand him, understand me, understand what's going on, understand why it's going on the way that it's going on and all this stuff. So I think I've earned a couple of months of break from that. But I also recognize that's where I am, and I recognize that's not where I should be. That's not where, um, progress or good or ceilings broken or um, connection and love and all these things, that's not where they lie, or they lay, or they, exist. I'm aware of that. Blake seems to not be aware that, okay, you are where you are, but then you need to grow and you need to like look at yourself and deal with yourself and act. And it's not by, and I don't think I wrote it here. I think I wrote it later. I don't know where I wrote it, but the way that Blake is kind of fighting the patriarchy is by becoming the patriarchy. I don't remember who said this, made a video, but this idea came up in my head when I was watching this too. She makes these like good for nothing jokes, good for nothing humor that Ryan Reynolds has. That is a very, let's use the word toxic masculine type of humor. It's good for nothing. It's not helping anyone. It's not helping make the world better. It's making the world the same or worse. But she's trying to tackle the patriarchy by dominating. They talk about how this is a toxic masculine trait, or um, and it's coming from unworthiness. And I'm getting ahead of myself again, but that's how she's trying to approach things rather than from. And she can be more masculine, but like she's not being a healthy masculine. She's not being a healthy feminine. She's kind of trying to overcome her, like, in their words, toxic femininity by becoming toxic masculinity. And it's like, no, girl, you're missing the mark completely. You're just like you're skipping over it. Like, this is where it is, where you're supposed to land, but you're going over there, and you're going over there, and you're going over there. You're not here in the middle.
And until we really awaken to how am I co-creating my own inner oppression, there's no man around, I'm doing it to myself. I will not be able to shatter the ceiling, and I will not be able to awaken and embolden myself to check the toxic masculinity. Just like this toxic masculinity, I talk about toxic femininity in my book, where because we're trying to be so nice, we have no voice now. We've divorced our inner knowing, our wisdom. We don't contribute. We're so scared. We're muted. So that's the toxic feminine part of us that needs to be integrated. And the toxic masculinity needs to be checked to come to this healthy, integrated approach where both sexes are able to be on both sides of masculine and feminine without shame.
This is where I was saying again, this guy is the one that you went after, Blake. This guy, out of all the guys in Hollywood and in this world, this guy, you can spend this listening and watching Dr. Shefali. You can listen and watch Emily, and you can listen and watch Justin through this whole thing and just focus on one person. To me, it's still baffling. The more of these I watch, the more that it baffles me that Blake didn't do her homework to who this guy was. The women that are, on Blake's side didn't do their homework. They're just, oh yeah, he's a creep. Oh yeah, he's like my ex. First of all, the moment that you say he, she, whatever is like my ex, you need to check yourself. You need to look at yourself in the mirror. You need to go to therapy. You need to do meditation. You need to pray. You need to do something, because you're kind of projecting. You're off the path. I will say that, though, Justin feels a lot like my ex, though, as far as like spirituality and just like this. I don't know. I think he has like a good he means well when it comes to like I don't know, he's helped me. I don't know. Yeah, he's helped me kind of come to terms a little bit more with feminine energy, femininity, whatever, being not weak and not bad and something to run away from. Because took the opposite. I guess I was very much like Blake in the sense that my voice, Angelina actually talked about this, my voice, is lower than my natural voice is. With him, my voice, for at least a short while, it was higher. I was like, "Ooh, this feels like more comfortable and more like myself." Um, and yeah, and so something as physical as that to something that's like not as physical and tangible, of just this idea that like I have to um, just overpower or something, and just reject anything that's female in quality. And my ex kind of helped me with that. So yeah, so I mean, sometimes you can, but that, I feel like that's still projection. That you can, compare people, but like this, this guy, the whole of that side of the internet is after this guy that is having this psychologist talk about her book about helping women be empowered, have a voice, be less submissive to a man, not in a toxic way, but in a healthy way, in an empowered way, in a healthy way. This guy, this is, you know, enemy number one or whatever. The one that has his wife that also is like, because she's on this journey, his wife is on this journey. His wife is on this journey. Let that sink in. That he's with someone who's on a journey, and he's, as far as what I've seen, supports her on this journey of having a voice, taking up space, being empowered. There's video of Emily talking to the Baha'i community about female power. I forget. I don't know. I'll cover that maybe another time. But again, just like, it just does not add up that this guy harassed Blake Lively. It does not add up. And the more that I guess I see of these, the more I want to share, and the more I want to just like amplify, just like this person is, sharing this, and just amplify who this person actually is. Say what you will. I just don't I don't have it in me to believe that any human, and especially him, is just doing this in some great scheme of manipulation, a very long, long, long game that anyone cracks under. There is not one person, even the master manipulators, not one person that doesn't crack at any point. It's just like, to me, it's just like, yeah, gosh, this guy. Seriously. All right. And also think about that. And think about, like, it made me think also, like, why would someone who is, I'm watching the live, we're so behind. Why is someone who is trying to attack patriarchy and her oppression by becoming the patriarchy and oppress the oppressor, but still the same, value of oppression rather than actually no one being oppressed? Why would someone like that attack this person? A few lives ago, either last Monday or last Friday, I think I mentioned this. I've mentioned it a few times how, oh, Blake's like Trump, but in Hollywood and female, whatever. I mean, she's tanned, fake tanned all the time. She's blonde, just there. Um, yeah, no way he did it. I don't believe it. Yeah. Um, but I mentioned something where I feel like there's like this theme in the world where, and my ex and I would talk about, or would talk, like we talk so many times about this, but like have talked at the beginning of this year. I think we were talking how, I think we were talking about this, how, as long as like it's like the bad is coming up, it's like excavating all the bad is like its final cry, and it's just coming out of the earth, out of all the places that it was hidden before. All the racism is like just bursting out. It was there before, but it was like quiet. It was under the surface. Trevor Noah talks about this, how in South Africa, at least it was open and in your face, but in the US, it's like hidden underneath. Sexism, all the things that are bad, the dominance and oppression, the greed, all these things are just like popping up like mushrooms and just like all over the place and spreading. It seems like it's spreading, but it's always been there. It's just been quiet. It's been, taboo or whatever. So it's coming out, and this is where like we have an opportunity to put the antidote on these things. And as she talks later, the antidote is togetherness and interdependence, interconnectedness, etc., etc. But it makes me think like Blake Lively is not, and this whole thing is not an accident. Like I've kind of abandoned spirituality for a while, but it's still in me. I really do believe this, and I don't want to be too like out there with spirituality, too spiritual about it, because I know I how turned off I get when people talk religiously or whatever. But I do think this is something that I personally believe or feel inclined um, like I'm just seeing this pattern of all these cases, all these things happening, and they're just so patterny. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Blake Lively decided to go after this man who is, for building women, for supporting women, for like building women up to empower, like helping them empower themselves, helping however he can to empower them, to give them a voice, to give them a platform, and then step back and let them do their thing and be, you know, true like women, true female empowered females. And I don't think it's a coincidence that in the greater scheme of things, I don't think it's coincidence at a micro level of, why Blake saw him as a weak link, so to speak. But I also think like as a pattern, you know, this is a pattern so often. The person that's actually doing good. This is going to sound so crazy, but remember, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there was an electric car that came out, I don't know, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, something like that. Way before Teslas, way before any other electric Prius and Leaf, Nissan Leaf, and all the stuff. I think it was maybe from Nissan. I don't remember, but it came like long, long time ago out. And people didn't like that. Interests didn't like that. And so they made it go away. This is a pattern. This is something that happens all the time, So this is why like critical thinking, when you're trying to be on the good side, you might find that you're on the bad side, because the good side often is weaker, it's quieter, it's not like bursting with money and power um, and volume and yeah. Um, but sometimes the good side also has money and power, or money and help someone else who has money and power. And this is why, like, this is such a big case. This is so meaningful to so many people because it's just another reiteration of that. I'll keep going. Sorry, I'm getting on my little soapboxy thingy.
I get a lot of men who reach out to me, and I've been talking a little bit about this, but I don't feel like it's my place to talk about this, especially in interviews.
This man.
And I actually left this part out of the book because I think it's for when Emily's ready to talk about it. But the idea, you know, that Bell Hooks writes about in A Will to Change, even about the internal misogyny that women face, right? As and what you're calling the toxic feminine. Because men write me, hey, Justin, I did it. I was vulnerable. I cried. And she like responded terribly. She made me feel less than. She made me feel like there was something wrong with me. Like I needed to man up. And you hear this a lot. Glennon Doyle writes about this in Untamed. This thing where even, and we forget that women are also byproducts and have been socialized to need to view men as strong, right?
Right.
And so there's something that about a vulnerable man that seems to trigger some women or many women.
Yeah.
Also, even though in their minds they want it. What is that?
Right. Well, I think we are, so we've absorbed this toxic masculine ideology that males are supposed to be holding the power and we are allowed to be weak. So on one level, we want our males, our men to understand us, to be in the heart. But if they show too much vulnerability, now it scares us because we feel like that is a threatening place, right? And they're going to crumble. As a global culture, ubiquitously, feelings, real feelings, true vulnerability has always been denigrated. So we women say we want our males to be vulnerable, but we can't hold space for that either. And we can't hold space for ourselves either. We don't know how to have direct expression of feelings. We're scared. So we are globally afraid of truth, of authenticity. We're wearing masks. And it's time for your book and mine. I mean, they came out so well and close together to help people to awaken.
Literally, one of the conversations that I had today was about this fear of communication, of being direct, and how some people ghost people because of that. They don't know how to have the conversation. I mean, there's attachment style stuff into that, but also just like I believe what she's saying, just a whole socialization of how we've suppressed that, and how we see that as bad, as just being direct with someone, like, hey, I don't like you, I don't feel the same, I don't feel anything, or whatever. And there is a world where saying that, there's a way to say it where it's actually so much better, but it's hard for both sides right now. I think it's rare to find people like that. But yeah, I love how she talks about how, and I like that he brings this up, the socialization that women have had, where males are supposed to hold the power, to have the power. And yeah, I don't know, it also takes me back again to a conversation that I had with my ex that was just so like beautiful, as far as like me kind of being awakened a little bit to the idea that feminine power is power. It is powerful. Like it's, but this idea is so interesting that, I mean, because again, I feel like I definitely felt like I needed, the only way to have power is to like be powerful, and I think I also kind of, for some reason, internalized this resentment towards feminine power. It's so interesting. Oh my gosh. I want to be friends with Emily. I want to be, at least, or not friends, maybe just like have I don't know, a book talk, a book circle or something. Like, Because I feel like, yeah, it's such a crazy journey. I've heard of this. To me, it was always kind of weird to hear that women would react this way. It was hard for me to imagine that, honestly, besides maybe some women. And by that, I mean like maybe young girls. I used to say this to my ex, like, oh, yeah, like maybe, because they were too young or, you know, I don't know. But like, yeah, I hear this is a thing where women have seeing the vulnerability of their partner, their male partner, they get turned off or they kind of get even maybe upset or whatever with their man. My experience with that is actually ironically with my mom. I get very angry when she's sad, when she's crying. And it made me think of that because I'm like, huh, interesting. Again, it's as much as it is genderized, it might be something that's even beyond gender. This idea of, who we give our power to, that's ours. But we feel disempowered because, I mean, when you think of like a mom, like, you know, as children, like the mom is everything. She keeps us safe. She, ideally, she keeps us safe. She helps us stay alive. She has all our power. And then at one point, we need to like take that power back. And it's interesting because I've seen more in film and shows, and Frasier comes to mind again. The idea of the boy becoming a man and the man taking his own power from the dad. The dad is not going to win at chess anymore because the son, went further than him or whatever. Now he's like the grown up or whatever. It was a Frasier episode. I've not really seen, maybe that's a movie idea. I've not really seen that much about women taking their power back, or like not taking it back because they never really had it, right? You get born like you never had it, but like breaking their power off from their caretaker, their moms. But yeah, it's so interesting because yeah, I get so angry when my mom cries, and it's like this resentment for like weakness, where like if I cry, like I know that's not weak. I know like how strong I've been so many times when I was crying and showing vulnerability, and I talk about that. But when it comes to a relationship with a man, that's easy for me to understand. When it comes to a relationship with my mom, that's not really easy for me to understand. That same dynamic is the same. So just wanted to throw that in because that like came to mind. Yeah, he quotes bell hooks. He quotes something else. And again, like this man, he clearly has done so much homework. And I mean, that homework doesn't come from like, oh, I read your book. He lives and breathes this work. So this man is the one that we're attacking, Blake. This man's the bad guy, the one that needs to like be wiped out of Hollywood. This man. But leaving Harvey Weinstein's and Woody Allen's and all that, those people can stay. Those men can stay, right? So weird, so messed up. Yeah. All right, next part. I'm almost like I'm almost kind of playing it all, and I don't mean to. The Matrix.
The Matrix is one of my favorite movies, so I can talk about The Matrix all day long.
That's true.
By the way, one of my favorite things recently is, when you see all these men talking about, red pill and all of this stuff, and it's now becoming this movement in this alt men's movement. But what they fail to recognize is, I don't know if you know this, but The Matrix was really written to be analogous to the trans experience.
I didn't know that.
Characters transitioned afterwards.
Wow.
So anyways, so I always kind of find that ironic when men are using it about like being alpha and like.
Right.
Someone should amplify that message to the red pill community, right? That the red pill is the pills of the men that are extremely misogynistic. um, and I'm pretty sure anti-LGBTQ plus. That is so funny. I remember that the writers or creators came out as transgendered. Um, but I didn't know that part, but it makes sense. And then I chat GPT, like, yes, like there are many trans themes, and they came out and talked about that afterwards. Um, yeah, so yeah, it was like a nice dig though. Good dig, Justin.
You don't even know you're talking about. This was a trans person who came up with this.
Right.
But what's the pill that kills?
So the fundamental pill that kills us all, I think at the core, male or female, alpha or not, is unworthiness. We all are living with this lie that we have believed that we are essentially unworthy. So even though this current dimension seems to be ruled by powerful, white men, just to speak stereotypically,
Which we know that the more you show your power, the more you show your fancy car, the more you show your money, the less worth you have internally for yourself.
it's an unworthy occupation. And how do we know it's unworthy? Because we're not taking care of everyone below that top pedestal. We're not taking care of the earth. We're not taking care of our children, the women, the people of color. So it is such a toxic hierarchy right now, but it is ruled by unworthiness. If we were not unworthy, the opposite of the antidote of unworthiness is interconnection, not codependence, not independence, and interdependence. When we are in worthiness, when we are connected to our inner self, we understand that we cannot exist without each other. There is a healthy appreciation that you are me and I am you. And that's how the planet begins to heal.
Good luck with that. She thought she would just erase him. Yeah, as far as like Blake. Yeah, good luck with that. So much at the core of what I've learned through the past years explicitly, and what I knew implicitly, what I knew in me. What I guess now I have just better words. I have words to talk about this. Before learning about attachment styles, and particularly through PDS, um, I didn't know this word interdependence. And I guess I was thinking like, well, the opposite of codependence is independence. And independence is great. I mean, this is America. I've mentioned this before. America, the US, is a very dismissive, avoidant country and society. Um, like the general of it. But yeah, I love how she talks about like just specifies interconnection is the antidote to unworthiness and to this world and to how bad we're going. When you think of Trump, if you've seen, you probably have not seen, I would still recommend, the movie is amazing. If you've seen um, The Apprentice, the movie with Sebastian Stan, um, and Roy Cohn, not Roy Cohn himself, but like Trump and Roy Cohn story. Um, they didn't really dwell on this, but I remember thinking like, this guy doesn't feel good enough. Especially when I was a lot more into my psychology studies and stuff. That's the people that display narcissistic traits or language like, I'm the best, I do things the best, et cetera, that kind of stuff. The more you do that, the more unworthy you feel, because you're searching so desperately to feel worthy, to be appreciated, to be accepted. And in the movie, it was just such a fleeting moment, unfortunately, for someone who loves psychology like me, that talked about that showed that, as far as like his dad. But I remember like learning from like another documentary or something about just, you know, Donald Trump not being able to live up to his dad, or in his dad's eyes, not being able to live up to his legacy or standards or something. And so, yeah, like I think, yeah, absolutely, the interdependence, interconnection is the antidote to that. But like it's such a hard place to go from that to for someone to like realize that that's in that space, in that extreme self-preservation place. Yeah, and not even in the very, very extreme, I think. But yeah, I love that she brings up this very specific difference between codependence, independence. The opposite of independence is not codependence. The opposite of codependence is not independence, it's interdependence. I mean, technically the opposite is each other, but like the healthy version is neither. It's interdependence. And I like how, let me go back and to what she said.
Are in worthiness, when we are connected to our inner self, we understand that we cannot exist without each other.
We cannot exist without each other. You are me and I am you. And I think this is you know, as far as like relationship stuff, I think this is a hard one for people to grasp. I don't know that I know many that do this really well. But of course, like people who are married and who are, you know, still together for a long time, to some degree understand this. You can't really not understand this. I mean, I guess you can if it's like just transactional. I guess you can, but this is really something I find that it's really difficult for people to normalize that this is the healthy way, because they label it oftentimes as codependency. They, you know, people who, and I guess I'm maybe because like that's the version of unworthiness from the masculine side is, like I said, dominance. It's independence, is like, you know, just me and whatever. And that's what we're seeing in politics and everywhere as far as power, is this like just me and my independence and my independent self. And I guess it comes in that more, where, yeah, like there's the resistance of letting go of the independence. I mean, I don't know. I really do want to get back into the coaching stuff, where like technically, yeah, it's unworthiness, and it's like people feeling like no one will take care of me. If you're overly independent or independent, you probably feel like no one will take care of you if you do speak up, if you do have needs. I know my ex would send me or talk to me and then send me, and the meme or the video wasn't as funny as what he described it, but of like, you know, Romanian women are independent, so much so that they don't even accept help with their luggage up the stairs, like this heavy suitcase up the stairs. And it was funny. I'm like, huh, I didn't think of that, or I don't know, but yeah, that's like independence, where you feel like, well, I can't rely on anyone. My grandmother, my mom, they always talk about like, if you want something done, do it yourself, because you can't rely on anyone else, and especially not on men. So I come from that type of, you know, culture and stuff. But you know, oftentimes we see that with men, like just being independent. Don't rely on others. Don't rely on your women. Don't rely on your partner. Like you have to be the breadwinner. You have to like have the power. You have to be independent. You have to be without attachment. The culture here in the U.S. and maybe now in so many other places also, of as a man, you know, you have to, Army Hammer talks about, like, you have to have all of these women, you know, and all this stuff. And just that idea of detachment, of independence, of not being interconnected, of not realizing that you are me and I am you, and that, like, I have to take care of you just as much as you have to take care of me. And just, yeah, anyways, sorry. I like, I can talk forever, and then I'm also like, my stomach's like, ooh, hunger. And I'm like, yeah, staying on track, staying on track. This is the part, the next one is Emily. I think it's, yeah.
To enter our renaissance and remember who we are. It is not a world that will survive with toxic masculinity. We women need to make that change.
Wow.
It's really all the work you're doing.
It's yes, which is why I'm kind of speechless, because it's just like I'm so in it, and I love it so much. I specifically love what you said early on, that it's a radical awakening on all sides that is really going to heal all the ailments that we're dealing with now. That's what's going to save us. And we talk about that a lot too, that, you know, it's great to be an activist for different issues, but the most important kind of activism, did we lose?
No, she's
okay. The most important type of activism is self-work, is that radical awakening that you're writing about.
Yeah.
Because then we become that authentic being that you're talking about, and we know what integrity is. We know what true power it is. We know what truth is. And from that place, I mean, just imagine the decisions that we can make, the choices that are before us, and the way that we treat each other and ourselves and honor everything. It's just, yeah, it's just been on our minds a lot. That's true activism.
Well, activism without the radical awakening.
I mean, it can only go so far.
It's like performative wokeness.
Or it's performative, yeah.
Calling out Blake Lively. Right? She's so, it always has felt like her talking about patriarchy and breaking the ceiling and all this stuff and being a voice for women, it always feels performative. And maybe we got it wrong, and maybe it's not performative because of this great marketing scheme, but maybe because exactly what he said, because she's not been awakened. She's not actually done the self-work. So she wants to be an activist, but didn't do the work that it requires to be an activist. Again, gosh darn it, it reminds me also of, I used to love the famous quote, yeah, I will. I used to love the famous quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And in my mind, it was at the early stages, it was, you know, force the message, tell people how they should be, or show, you know, like talk about it or whatever. And I remember talking so highly of him tonight, but I mean, well deserved. But I remember my ex, I don't even know at that time if we were together. This might have been before. No, I think it was after. I don't know. I was, it was like spring or summer. No, I think it was before. No, it had to be after, because we didn't really talk. Anyways, semantics that don't really matter to anyone, not even us, you know, at this point. But I remember him kind of saying, kind of introducing me to this thought of, maybe being that change you want to see in the world. Maybe it's like less about like what you're putting out there into the world, and more about you showing up as that. Which, I mean, I'm not really doing justice, but like it was a slight change, but it was something that I was quite resistant to. And but it just reminded me of what Emily was saying, like, you know, true activism is doing the self-work, is, you know, starting within yourself, and then you end up showing up as that Oh, I remember how he said it. Like, you show up as that, best self and new self and whatever you want the change to be in the world. And then people see, like, oh, that seems to work for that person, which I think is a tricky thing to say. Let me try that. So I think, there's definitely both sides need a little bit more evolution to those like ideas. But yeah, it was the first time I thought about it that way, because I'm like, yeah, you be the change you want to see the world. And I mean, I used to do it anyways, like be kind and be whatever. But yeah, vulnerability to me is a big one. That's something that, I'm showing up on vlogs, I'm showing up on here, I'm talking, I'm sharing things. I definitely recognize lately that my vulnerability comfort level is a little deceiving to me, because I am so open about so many different things, and I am showing up how I want the world to be more, and to be more comfortable, to be vulnerable, to feel safe, and to be safe to be vulnerable, and all this stuff. But I also realized about last year, I think, that I was not as vulnerable as I thought I was. Yeah, like about what like true vulnerable stuff was. I wasn't that. I was holding on to like deceptive power over things, over like, or control or whatever, trying to hold on to control or have control or whatever. I mean, and it's so nuanced in that sense. But I wasn't showing up vulnerably. Like when I loved my ex, I wasn't telling him that I loved him. I would like actually probably like scold him over, like, why didn't you call me, or whatever. So that's what I mean. Like, I wasn't really truly vulnerable. I wasn't showing like, oh, I this hurt me, or I'm scared, or whatever, because I felt like, no, that's weakness, and that is going to get me left, that is going to like be a burden to him, and all these things. Wow, getting emotional. All right. Didn't really, I mean, this, when I initially wrote this, was about like Blake, but as I'm hearing it for the third time, other things come up, and from the personal side. But again, I wrote again at this point, this man, Blake, this man. I said, do you even understand the way those contradict in such an impossible way? This man and, SHing you, sexually harassing you. And I said, it's one thing for him to just speak about feminism, but did you do your homework to see how he lives it, how he shows up for women, how he, like I said earlier, lives and breathes learning about how to be a better man, how to be a better husband and father and person and director, I'm sure, just like a better person on this planet to other people. Clearly he lives and breathes it. He talks about it all the time. And he like quotes, and he like, you can tell someone who does like really self work on like that kind of level. At least maybe I can tell, because I mean, yeah, I do that way too much, or I used to do that way too much. And I said, did you stalk this guy and his wife and all they have posted everywhere on the internet before you did this lawsuit? Or like try to take over the movie or anything? Did you look them up? And you met Emily. You had a scene with her. You could have talked with her. You could have gotten to know her. You could have, done your investigation. Who is this man? You could have like done your sleuthing and snooping and stalking and whatever for a good cause. I don't think she, how like people stalk their exes, or their like, not so much their exes, but their potentials, when they have a crush on or whatever. That recently happened, and it's just like, it drives me crazy. It pulled me back into something I did not want to be pulled back into. And I'm like, deal with your own thing. You don't need to stalk someone else's Instagram or wherever. If you like a guy, just, I don't know, communicate with that guy. Radical. But anyway, so yeah, like how people do that. Like Blake didn't do this with Emily and Justin. And again, don't take just Justin, but look at the wife that he has. Look at or that he is with. Look at the woman next to him, because that also says a lot about the man. Um I don't know. I continue to say, I'd say no, that you didn't, Blake, because you'd have seen this strong woman in Emily, who you also have met, and I'm sure you could have met more if you wanted to, and see how Justin stands by this woman going on this journey, is excited for her to go on this journey to find and regain her power. And I think that's like even more important. Not just like stands by her and blah, 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 and puts up with it, you could say, but is excited for her, wants this for her. And how like he was with like Gina Rodriguez as well. But I don't know, I feel like it says a lot about a man to see how he is with his wife or partner. Not everyone gets married. And I said, what the flock were you doing, Blake? What the flock? That's my new phrase. By the way, Aru is feeling a lot better. A lot better. She was pretty normal today. Hopefully it continues tomorrow. Last two. Up, 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 up. Nope, 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 nope.
Where males can just speak up without a problem. We spend so much to just take up space. So to
wait.
Of love.
Internet.
Well,
it's like, is this idea that
you got, first of all, Radical Awakening from Dr. Shefali, right? I saw it. I went into Barnes & Noble and I saw it next to mine. I thought that was really sweet.
That's
awesome. That's so cool.
Oh no, I was just gonna add to that. It's just like this idea that, if we're not a martyr in the name of love, then we haven't loved enough. That's been a huge one for me.
Wow.
To realize that that's a lie that I've been telling myself, and that's a side telling myself.
Yeah, we cannot
be martyrs.
Yeah, we have to be martyrs, victims. Yeah, we have to suffer. We have to give of ourselves to the point of abnegation.
Yeah.
Because that's the noble way to be the perfect mother and the perfect wife. Yeah. So to put ourselves first is an abomination. We literally we get nausea, because our conditioning is, don't take up space, don't put yourself first, give of yourself. And it really mind trips us, it's we face so much conflict to just speak up, where males can just speak up without a problem. We spend so much energy in the boardroom. Should I say something? When should I say something? I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. Oh my goodness, what will they think of me? You think males are going through this in their head? They just speak, know? So look how much we have to go through just to come to the table.
And as soon as she says that last part, I can hear those red pill or whatever pill men say, oh, this is anti-men, and and she does say also something a little later around, I will talk about it. I won't get ahead of myself. Stick to this. So Emily brings up this socialization of martyrdom, and whoo, does that speak volumes. I've seen my mom do that. My grandmother, not as much, but in her own way, for sure. I just didn't see it because I was so much younger. But my mom, like when my little brother was born, she would not take naps. She would not take care of herself. I see it now. I get so angry with her, and that she doesn't realize that she needs to put her oxygen mask first before helping others. And if she doesn't, she's not of actual help to others. And it's a very selfish help, and it's a very incomplete help. But yeah, it is very, very difficult. I also, as I was listening for the third time, I was also thinking of how I speak this more in the vlogs, but how much I gave away of myself, how I sacrificed myself for the relationship that I had. And I talk about it in the vlogs. I don't remember, what vlog and where, but I know that I've talked about this, so I'll keep it short. But like, it's not really, oftentimes when people say that, they blame the other. And for me, it was just very clear that I gave that away. It's more nuanced than that. but but there was a lot to it that was just me giving it away. And that was also a realization when, like, I remembered when, my ex fell for me, so to speak, how people speak, and how, like, he seemed to really gravitate to me more when I was in my power, in my confidence, but in, like, my power, that I was empowered. I wasn't, making myself small for him. So it was like, and you would think, like, well, Arina, like, that's so simple. Great. It's not so simple, because it's so ingrained in me, at least in my family, and my women in my family. It's so ingrained in so many, like Emily's talking about, like, it's so ingrained in so many of us, um, to do that, to, like, sacrifice ourselves. And when it comes to being a mother, whew, even more than anything. And so I was saying that I remember putting on Facebook this message, and I remember even my ex challenging that. And I was like, "Whoo, I feel like this speaks about, you more than me." But yeah. But and then I also mentioned here, like, I'd say that he's so much like Justin, and that like, he still has his own work to do and all this stuff, but he's like that kind of person that wants to do good and doesn't look down on women, doesn't degrade women, not at least not, like, knowingly or willingly or consciously. And like I said, like, he's taught me a lot about, like, feeling the power of being a woman, and not seeing that as a weakness. So he's that kind of person, which I feel like Justin is too. And yeah, but yeah, this idea of, like, martyrdom when it comes to, like, being a mother is like, oh gosh, it's such a, it might be, like, maybe even harder to let go of than, to our husbands or male counterparts in workplaces or whatever. I don't know. And then the last one.
To awakened women, is that the reason being about this, though. But you know what's interesting, Doctor, is I think what's also interesting about this, though, is the other side of it, as a man being here with you two awakened women, is that the reason
enough to understand the game, then you're not going to let it infiltrate you and put you back down. You go, I feel compassion for you that you have to interrupt me all the time. I feel compassion for you that you don't want to see my power. I get it. I understand. You've never seen females in their power.
This actually makes me think this is how he should have spoken to Blake Lively. Again, we genderize it, and there's so much in the gender, but this sounded like, I don't know how it would go down on the set, but I feel like because of the power, not only because she was a woman and whatever, but I think the power imbalance of how famous she is, how big of a name she is, how she needed to be treated special and different. And even if the stories aren't true to the extent that they've been told, right? but just, you know, you have someone that you're paying so much more than anyone else, and it has the star power, the name, the fame, regardless of whether they're a great person or not. Everyone feels like this person is more important. Like it's just like, you know, just in us. And I feel like I wonder if he ever used this on her. Like, I feel compassion for you for interrupting me. I feel compassion for you. um, because in some ways I imagine that he let go of that, because there's the danger of the opposite too, of giving way too much to a woman just because she's a woman. And I think that's, you know, we talk about the, what, 47.1 or something, 46.1, whatever that law is, where, you know, SH victim can't have a lawsuit against her, or against them. And it's like, yeah, but like some people will use that. Some people will claim things that aren't true, and then what? Sorry, that it just made me think of that.
I get it.
That they're doing is because of their lack of enoughness.
Exactly.
Because the patriarchy,
It's that
ironically, has the same effect on men as it does on women. So what ends up happening is the lack of enoughness of us needing to prove our worth as men in this power system.
Yes.
Means that anybody who is left
Everybody.
powerful, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, women tend to be the people that men do that with, because men have a hard time doing it with other men. Because we're oftentimes, depending on who you are, there's always somebody who's going to be bigger, stronger, better, faster, you know, with you know, more money, a bigger house, a nicer car, a bigger dick, all of it, right? It all exists in the patriarchy. But when men feel less than, we find our power in the domination of someone else.
I mean, isn't that bullying? Bullying 101, 47.1, thank you. And hi, April. I was waving to you, but I think it's way delayed. But yeah, isn't that bullying, right? Anyone who's been oppressed, I feel like, has had the choice, whether they took it or not, and hopefully awareness when making that choice of doing exactly this. Oppressing someone because you can't oppress your equal, or who oppresses you. Because I would say that even in that case, the men that, you know, Justin is talking about are kind of oppressing the men he's talking about. So the males, the men, the boys that are, you know, more performative in sports or are dominating in whatever way, of subjugation. Yeah, so like I think that is in form like oppressing the more blank slate that another guy is, that isn't yet, you know, attuned to that. I don't know, that didn't, it makes more sense in my head. But yeah, so, but again, this makes me think as far as like the Blake Lively, the Blake Lively of it all. It makes me think so much of how it was so reversed, because she seems to have a huge chip on her shoulder as far as being oppressed. And it just makes me think again, like she needs to oppress. I think also with women, you might say like it doesn't quite work that way, because maybe women can sniff it out, like, I see what you're doing, Blake. It won't work with me, or whatever. And so she's like trying to dominate men and oppress them, and, you know, whatever. I don't know. I can see that. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching.
And that tends to be women. And so it comes from a lack of enoughness, from that same thing that you talk about with women.
The system that we're in, big as the guy at work, or as powerful, and he comes home and dumps on the women and the children and the dogs. So when we lived in tribes, the men checked each other, and the females were together to check the men. So this is what we need to band together and understand, that the men are not evil. We raise them. They are sons. They are brothers. This is not about separation, right? Your message isn't about separation. Mine is not about, there's no battle of the sexes here. Yeah, it's about compassion, that our sons and our brothers.
Anyways, I will go through because for some reason I think I skipped one. I think I stopped short with one. Oh no, never apologize for sleeping on my podcast or lives, streams, videos. As someone who struggles with sleep, I'm very happy. It makes me very happy when people doze off. It's like, yes, I got to help someone sleep. But yeah, and that's why I'm like trying to wrap it up because I kind of got lost in, I guess I yeah, uh, went, I didn't go into one. But in the boardroom one, I think it was around that minute 33 of their video. I think it was Emily, I don't know, who talks about how, women start being called dramatic if they like speak up, or crazy or wild, or if they like become more in their power, or they speak up, or they're more vulnerable, or whatever. And I'm like, that hits close to home. This is, I guess, like at that point I was going through stuff. But I was saying, in my darkest month I ever had on this earth so far. Talk about dramatic. But that was that word dramatic came up November 2019 quite a lot. And so it took me back when I heard that. I was like, oh gosh, I remember that. And how much it hurt, and how unjust I felt it was, and how I still feel like it was unjust. And again, like when you grow up, I mean, it's been, I guess, quite a few years now. You do have more compassion, and you're like, okay, that's a them problem, and just like send them with compassion, send compassion their way. Like that's all they know. That's, because I go through moments where I can't express, and I wish someone would have the compassion to tell me, like, I see that you can't express more than or better than you are expressing right now, and that words are failing you right now, and it's okay. Like, I have compassion for you. Like, so anyways, but yeah. And then I said, I petitioned for, this is going to be so controversial, I petitioned for Blake and Justin to, down the road, way, way, way down the road, when she's started awakening, if ever will happen, come together and have these conversations. Yawn. Oh, sorry. I think it's interesting how Blake is kind of the perpetrator of what she feels stifled by. But the jokes and humor she started having, trying to be more like Ryan, trying to be more like the toxic masculine thinking, that is her freedom from oppression in her mind. But it's actually just oppressing someone else, and also oppressing herself continuously. And then I thought I kind of switched back to like, or maybe just him and Taylor Swift and Justin need to work together. And I said, yes, these are this psychologist's words, but he's consistently platforming these conversations, and this is part of his constant search and work. So I think that, yeah, Taylor Swift and him need to do something together. I would love, in my world, and maybe this is how he thinks, I think also him and Dave Neal would be like two peas in a pod. But in my world, in my perfect world, I also see him and Blake just having exactly kind of a similar conversation. But for that to happen, Blake, unfortunately, needs to do her own work and awaken, and maybe even get rid of influences in her life, one way or another, that oppress her and that keep her oppressed. Let me try to see if there was something else.
Because of our conditioning.
Stick with the journey.
I know.
Which is again why I'm so excited to read your book, because it is like we need that constant.
Right. Once we realize that this is the way of the toxic patriarchy, we won't take it personally. See, we take everything personally.
Okay, yeah. I thought, I don't know where I was. Anyways, Hicks, I think if ever it will be performative to win back goodwill like her husband's been doing. Yeah, that would be so powerful. Him and Taylor doing something, even if they brought Travis in to further the masculinity convo. Yeah, like Travis has his own podcast. Maybe Travis should have Justin. There we go. There's an idea. Not now. I don't think Justin wants to do anything right now. I don't think it's in, honestly, I mean, it's not in Blake's best interest to do anything, and she's doing it. But I think it's wise and smart for Justin to just deal with this massive thing he didn't ask for. And I think it's unfair for him to be dealing with, and also because I think it makes me think. Was it Superman? The idea of like, and also I think it's a Christian thing too. Like, Christian wise, God will never give you more than you can handle. Sorry, all these yawns. But I think like with Superman, or just in general. Sorry, I'm like talking away from the mic. In general, superheroes. The idea that you're never given a superpower that isn't meant for you. And I think, oh no, like with great power comes great responsibility. I don't know why I'm thinking that's like a Superman quote, like early Superman. And I think, and this has been talked more and more about Justin. Like, this is not just about him, and this is unfortunately for the greater good that he's going through this. He's kind of going through it for so many of us, and really, I would say for every single person on this planet. I mean, this was one of many battles. He's not the only battle that will like suddenly magically, help the world, but I think, the sentiment that this is more than him, this is more than just about him, unfortunately for him. It's a great burden to carry. But maybe he was given this burden because he could carry it, because he has the the community in his family, in his friends, in business partners, etc., that can hold him up when he's, you know, tired of dealing with this, that can support him, that can be there for him, and to give him strength to see this through. And because he's been on such a mission, he's learned so much. It sucks that, he therefore has to turn around and kind of carry this burden. But maybe, I don't know, Spider-Man, maybe. I don't know why I thought Superman. Spider-Man, Superman, they both start with S, so I guess I won't feel that bad. But yeah, so that was like, I was so excited. I feel like I didn't do the best job because I guess I'm tired, which is a great sign, and I'm hungry, and also that whole internet situation was super annoying. So that got me off track and in my head. But thank you guys. Thank you for coming, for joining, for being here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Maria. I don't know if you also fell asleep or left or something, to your message. I'm really curious, because yeah, it was it was just like frustrating and annoying to hear my, you know, person's story. And yeah, like we're dealing with this, and imagine how people feel that have been through like really bad stuff in Hollywood, and they're looking at Blake and like, really, Blake? This is what you're fighting about? This is the hill you want to, die on, as they say? This is the one when so much worse happens? And that it's not like it's a competition. It's not about being a competition like, oh, I have it worse. It's about just like having the decency to know when you don't have it bad, and when, like, oh gosh, this is just, anyways. I think I'm just a little bit more, I think it's in the air. Like I said, Lauren was really fed up with the whole thing with Miss Dorsey or whatever. And I think we're just fed up. We're just, tired of even really saying, like, of course, everything that is alleged that we don't know, of course, theory, allegedly, etc. But like, we're tired of like not having an opinion of just the frustration that we're facing, and pretending like it's really more nuanced or more still up in the air than it is. And I think we're just tired. We're like, this is just stupid. I which was my first sentiment. I'm like, in December, I was saying, this is the lawsuit no one asked for. No one wanted this. No one wants this. Go away. And that was, when it was just her lawsuit. But I was like, things were quieting down. Why? Why are we like dredging this up, Blake? Why? That was my first sentiment, for real. And then I read it. I was like, oh, maybe there's something to it. And then I read his. I'm like, nope, I guess not. Okay, yeah, I imagined it was one or the other. No rush, no rush. I'm just excited over here. I am so tired, and I am looking forward to my Dairy Queen, no sponsor, hot dog. I don't think it's a very good hot dog. I don't have high hopes for this hot dog. It's also so frozen now. And then my also frozen baked potato from Wendy's. I love baked potatoes. That's something we didn't have in Romania that I'm so glad that I came to the US to find the baked potato. Oh, so good. And my ice cream sundae, that probably has not melted because it's so cold down here. So yeah, thank you for joining me. It was a little different today, but I saw this video and I was just so excited, and I just was like, oh, I want to talk about this, and it is just more and more what I want to spread out into the world, and the kind of conversations I want to have, which tonight was, touch and go. It was like here and there and everywhere, but I love these, and I love sharing them, and I love just like grounding ourselves in these people. What do we have that's even close to this from Blake Lively? Everything that she's said that was activist-ish, or I meant to say like activist-y, activist like. I wouldn't even say this is activism. I mean, he's just being, and he's allowing her to be, and his wife and Dr. Shefali, to be. Like, they're having a conversation. They're exploring. It's not activism. It's like really just exploring, just being human. Yeah, what we get from Blake is just like really bad stuff. To like final note, I will say that I do think that, or I do wonder, like I said, if Blake looks in the mirror, looks at old pictures, old videos or whatever, and realizes she's gone off her path, on a wrong path at one point, and I wonder if she has those moments. After seeing that Penn Badgley in her video, I'm not gonna lie that I had more compassion for her. but it's also kind of at that point where like you can't help people that don't want to help themselves. It just feels like her life and her inner life and outer life is just chaos and a mess that is very tangled, and maybe that's why we don't have even a clear picture of anything, because like what is Ryan, what is Blake, what is like who did what and who initiated what, and you know, what happened on the set and why and whatever. Like it might be because it's so tangled inside herself and inside them. I don't see her being an awakened woman anytime soon. Just like with Taylor Swift, but hey, maybe. I mean, Taylor Swift, I feel, is a lot more on the way than Blake at this point, but who knows? But yeah, I would petition Travis and Justin. I don't think Travis is, I don't know that Travis is awakened enough, though. It would be interesting. I don't think my opinion of Travis is that he seems quite immature and like good meaning guy, but like not very awakened and mature. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I had a friend like that would never stop or stop talking, and it's because she didn't want to face her truth. She wasn't a good person, yeah. Like me, because I don't stop talking. I talk a lot. It's so funny when I think of like the one time my ex asked me like if I try really hard to find things to talk about, or it's just like, you know, it just comes out. I'm like, what are you talking about? I try hard to like stop talking. Like there was always so much that I wanted to fill him in about my day or about like thoughts I had or whatever. Like I would always just want to talk. So yeah, there's that too. But yeah, I think there's some truth to that. Silence is scary when you have to like sit with yourself or whatever. For me, it's like I sit in silence all the time. So when I get a chance to talk, I'm like, whew, I'm gonna talk your ears off. But yeah, it's I don't know. I feel it. If you missed it, April, definitely check the beginning of this about the what did I call it? Candy cane, but substance wise, potentially that. Not Taylor. Gosh, not Taylor. I mean, I see. Like this is interesting. I would almost be less shocked about Taylor Swift than about Blake Lively using some substance. Um, because Taylor seemed always so young and so influent, like, you know, like, oh, let me try that or whatever. Whereas Blake seemed a lot more like in control or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know. But Taylor is not rumored to have used any substance. But there was a blind item about Blake Lively that she used this powder situation, and I think it's a powder, right? I don't know. I don't know. And it made kind of more sense with what they were describing at Preserve over there in that article. So who knows? Who knows? I like how I'm my own worst enemy, or I don't know, because I'm like, check out, you know, look at the previous part of this video. It's like I'll just tell you. No, but like I don't know. I'm not here to like be manufactured. So, all right, I'm falling asleep. So, thank you for being here on a Tuesday, randomly Tuesday night. Sorry I couldn't be here on Monday. It was just so, I don't know. It was a lot Monday. I'm trying to catch up on vlogs and the little short clips up from Friday and from today. Today I feel like it's a mess, so I don't know if this was anything worth in this one. But yeah, so I'll see you guys Friday. Unless something crazy happens, always, you know, something crazy happens. I'll like crazy. If it's just crazy, I'll just wait Friday. But yeah, have a wonderful night. Sorry to keep you this late. Bye. Oh, yeah. That's sad. That's sad, Angel. Yeah. Yeah, that happens. Blake is not in that situation though. She has big consequences for what she says, and I don't know that she again. I don't know that she does it on purpose or not, because some maybe it's just like how she copes with things. I don't know. We will see so much. Whew, gosh. Anyways, all right. See you guys on Friday. Bye. Good night. And I need to find this way.